Wonderful. You don't have an eviction. But let's assume this all fails. If it fails, you have to take them to court. If you have a tenant that's just not paying and not participating in eviction diversion and not doing their part to get rental assistance, you go to court. I recommend using an attorney. It's very complicated down there. People can't do it themselves. It's not what I would recommend, but certainly their option. You go to court. Unfortunately, it's a long process. Even after eviction diversion, you'll probably get a court date within 30 days. The first hearing very rarely happens. People can get continuances for no reason whatsoever, or the dumbest of reasons. And then that'll get them a 30 to 45-day continuance. After that, you may have a hearing on your hands. You have a choice. You could either negotiate what's called a JBR, judgment by agreement, or let your attorney do it for you. In which case, it basically, you agreeing you owe it, and we're coming up with some sort of terms. You'll pay back in certain intervals or whatever it is. And that becomes a court record. If that happens, then it's if the judge ordered it, because the judge has to approve it, which they own. If not, you go in front of the judge and you state your case. Then the judge will issue a ruling. There's a 10-day appeal period. Assuming nobody assuming the ruling in your favor, and assuming they don't appeal, at that point you can file for a lockout. But this could go sideways, and sideways means that the tenant files a fair housing for a fair housing. If they file for a fair housing and say you did something wrong, you didn't have your rental license, you didn't do a certain repair, they can take the matter to a different court in front of an arbitration panel, and you present your case to the arbitration panel.
Oh, wow.
They'll usually schedule something within 30 to 60 days. And after the hearing, they'll take another 30 to 60 days to respond. And at that point, you can appeal their hearing, or their hearing is binding. If it's binding, then you can go back to landlord-tenant court. There were some cases, and a new law passed in Philadelphia regarding lockouts, sheriff's lockouts or lockouts from the landlord-tenant officer, which now they have to double up. They're bringing 2 people at a time, which means double the price. But the lockouts will take you another 60 to 90 days from the time the hearing goes. And from the time you file, not the hearing, after the appeal period when you file. After that, you either need to store the tenant stuff at the property, or you need to move it off site for another 30 days. And then you get your house back.
So you're talking 9 months to a year, at least.
If someone doesn't pay in January, the reality is, if you're standing in that house in September 1st, you're probably owed 10. That's just the process. Now, again, this is assuming you have all the right stuff.
Right.
If you don't have the rental license or the CRS or the lead cert or anything like that, it's a sad reality, but it is the reality. The key is just knowing it, and then helping. And then once you know it, it's just, okay, these are the rules.
Yeah, you just got to set yourself up so it doesn't become a problem in the future, just like you said in the beginning of the show.
Again, if any investors out there are feeling nauseous right about now, the good news is that this doesn't always happen. Most tenants pay their rent. Even after a tenant doesn't pay their rent, and you're starting down the road of delinquency, you can always talk to them and just say, listen, I don't want to file eviction. Okay, it's going to cost me money. It's going to be on your record. It really doesn't do anything. Maybe it's better if you just leave. And sometimes that's successful. Or as you say, cash for keys. Listen, I'll even pay you to be on your way. Sometimes, even though it's hard to emotionally do, especially when you're already losing money in the rent.
But it's less expensive than the attorney.
It's sometimes the best economic answer. So it's a challenge. But again, these are the 1% of cases, the 2% of cases. Most tenants don't end up in eviction. Thank God for us, for them, for landlords, for everybody.
Ari, I want to let the listeners and viewers out there know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. You can always just go to my website, which is reinfo411.com. You can always email me at arimiller@reinfo411.com, or like me on LinkedIn and reach out like you did, and and we can have a nice podcast.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. You were very generous with it. We've been here almost an hour. I want to thank you so much. And again, for everyone out there, this has been Real Estate with @Hungry Realtor, me, Mike Severance. Please follow and subscribe. And make sure to check out Ari Miller on LinkedIn. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you. It was a lot of